I would like to thank everyone for attending this very special event. I've been attending these Pioneers, they're called luncheons now, if those of you who share maybe the same age that I do can remember back in the day when they used to be night banquets. I have always found them to be very, very special events. We're honoring some people that have been in education for a long time, and indeed the terminology pioneer applies. Each year, the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education selects a few distinguished men and women whom we honor as pioneers in education. Since 1974, we have honored over 288 pioneers. The pioneers, as I said earlier, are veteran teachers, they're school administrators, other staff, legislators, school board members, and citizens who have made a mark in Missouri's public education system. Today, we are proud to honor 6 individuals whose careers have influenced the course of public education in Missouri for over the past half-century. We are pleased to introduce the pioneers to you with a video presentation which reflects upon their lives and careers. Our first pioneer is Joe Ahl. Please roll the video.
When discussing his career in education, Joe Ahl said, "Above all else, I always tried to make my decisions on what was best for kids, and that normally worked out well for me." Joe grew up and attended school in Lexington from kindergarten through high school. During his junior year, he was president of the student body. He graduated from Lexington High in 1966. He then attended Westminster and was a starter on the basketball team. He graduated in 1970 with a degree in physical education and mathematics. Later that year, he began his career as a junior and senior math teacher and was the boys' varsity basketball coach at Slater High School. In 1975, he moved back to Lexington and became the middle school principal. After 3 years at the middle school, Joe became the principal of Lexington High School, where he served for the next 7 years. In 1979, he was also the varsity boys basketball coach. That year, they were state quarterfinalists, and Joe was selected as the KMZU Radio Boys Basketball Coach of the Year. In 1985, Joe became the principal of Fulton High School, and in 1988, he returned to Lexington as superintendent. During his tenure as superintendent, Lexington passed a bond issue to expand and renovate Bell Elementary School, and they built a new middle school. Lexington High School became one of the first A-plus schools in Missouri, and an alternative high school serving students in 7 school districts also opened. In 1997, Joe became superintendent in Marshall. The Marshall School District earned the Distinction in Performance Award 3 times, earned A-plus certification, opened a county-wide alternative school, and opened a new athletic complex. Joe retired from public education in 2004 and was then elected 4 times as state representative in the Missouri legislature, where he served in the House for 8 years and was the ranking member of the House Education Committee. He also served on both the Agriculture and Rural Development Committees. After he became term limited in the legislature, Joe became the vice president of academics at Wentworth Military Academy and College, where he stayed for 6 years. In December of 2017, Joe became Lexington's city administrator. He also broadcasts football and basketball games for Missouri Valley College and is the host of the Pigskin Postgame Coaches Show and the Sports of All Sorts talk show on KMMO Radio. Joe has served as president of the West Central School Administrators Association, as well as the Central District Secondary Principals Association. He's an elder in the Presbyterian Disciples Church and has been president of the Lexington and Marshall Rotary Clubs. He served for 5 years as a member of the Missouri State High School Activities Association Board of Directors and was president of the board for 1 year. Joe has received many awards, including the Distinguished Service Award from the Missouri State Teachers Association, the Missouri Association of School Administrators, and the Consumer and Family Science Teachers Organization. He recently received both the Distinguished Service Award and the Irvin Keller Award from the Missouri High School Activities Association and the Robert Howe Award from the Missouri Association of Secondary School Principals. Joe has been married to his wife Candy for 24 years. They are the proud parents of Katie, Angel, Tony, Nick, and the late William Thomas. They also have 4 grandchildren, Chloe, Jay, Braden, and Sophia. When Joe began his position at Wentworth, he said he was looking forward to working with students and teachers to provide the best educational opportunities for all students. He said he would do his best to help maintain the many successful traditions and programs there, and he looked forward to playing a major role in helping the school grow and meet new challenges. Joe just didn't do that at Wentworth. He has followed that philosophy at every position he's held in his career. He is a pioneer.
And please roll the video.
Until he turned 95, just a few years ago, Hugh Dunn mowed the Macon High School football field, the Hugh Dunn Field. In 1971, the field was named after him while he was still in the middle of a 4-decade tenure as head coach. Hugh said, "I still don't know why they decided to name it after me. I thought they only named fields after dead guys and people who won titles." Hugh grew up in Harrisonville, Missouri, where an infection as a child cost him the vision in his left eye. He ran track and played football and basketball at Harrisonville High School, graduating in 1940. He drove a truck for a year after graduation, but then he was offered a chance to play football at Missouri Valley. After 2 successful seasons, Hugh joined the Army in November of 1942, after he memorized the eye chart to pass his physical. Assigned as a guard at the Army prison at Fort Leavenworth, he soon volunteered for infantry duty, qualified as an expert with small arms, and was sent to southern France. While in Germany in 1945, he was wounded twice. First was a shrapnel injury, and then he lost his hand just above the wrist when a mortar landed in his foxhole. He received the Purple Heart with Cluster and the Silver Star Medal for his actions. Sergeant Dunn was honorably discharged in November 1945. When he returned to Missouri Valley, he was able to participate in track, running the 220-yard dash and on relay teams. By the time Hugh graduated from Missouri Valley with his bachelor's degree in 1948, he had played 4 seasons of both football and track. As a senior, he received the Williamson Football Award as the Small College Outstanding Player, and he was voted to the NAIA Football Hall of Fame. As an All-American running back, blocking back, and quarterback, he helped lead the Vikings to 41 consecutive victories and 2 bowl game wins. In 1948, Hugh married the homecoming queen, Margaret Peg Rose. Peg was the public address announcer at Macon for more than 50 years. She was Macon's #1 sports fan. Hugh attended the University of Missouri, where he earned a master's degree in physical education in 1951. Hugh said he had learned so much from athletics and saw what they had done for him that he wanted to pass that on by going into the profession. In 1950, Hugh started teaching and coaching at Macon. Though his first-year team was only 0-9, his career record wound up with 234 wins, 148 losses, and 15 ties. His teams won 6 league titles and made the state playoffs 4 times. Along the way, he's been inducted into both the Missouri Coaches Hall of Fame and the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame. Hugh retired in 1990, but not really. He still manicured the football field named for him, mowed the grass, directed an army of volunteers, and got things ready for game day. He's quick to comment on the name of Hugh Dunn Field. It should be named Ward Harrington Field. He built the place. All I do is mow the grass. Hugh and Peg have 5 children, Buck, Buddy, Nancy, Lori, and Todd, 11 grandchildren, and 4 great-grandchildren. In 2013, Hugh's wife Peg passed away at the age of 84. All 3 sons played football for him, and the youngest, Todd, is also a football coach at Lawson. Todd is one up on his dad. His team won a state high school title in 2007. Hugh still lives in Macon and is still an inspiration to his school, his church, and his community, as he has been his entire life. 41 of these years, Hugh has served as a teacher, athletic director, and football coach. He is a pioneer.
Our next pioneer is Ina Claire Lister. Please roll the video.
Ina Claire Lister said, "The benefits of working in education are mostly in recognizing the importance of what you do. There can be nothing more important than preparing our young people to become citizens of the world. The greatest highlights of my career are the times I feel I've had a part in making that happen." Ina Claire Barnes was born in Iowa in 1936. Her mother had been a teacher before she and Ina Claire's father were married. Ina Claire attended a rural school through the 8th grade. She then attended Bedford High School, where she graduated in 1954. Since Northwest Missouri Teachers College was located near the family farm, hogs and livestock were raised to pay for tuition, and Ina Claire acquired a 2-year certificate in teaching. She was 20, but she looked much younger when she began her teaching career in Shenandoah, Iowa, so she wore her hair up in a bun to try to look older. In 1957, she and Basil Lister were married. Basil also became a math teacher. While continuing to teach in Iowa until 1965, she completed her Bachelor of Science in Education with a minor in mathematics. Her family moved to Missouri, and Ina Claire began teaching 6th grade at Oakwood Elementary in the Hannibal School District. Then, from 1971 until 1977, she taught 7th grade math at the junior high school. In 1978, while she was completing her Master's of Science from Northwest Missouri State in Maryville, she taught 4th grade at the Minnie Klein Elementary School in Savannah. From 1979 through 1986, Ina Claire served as the elementary principal for North Nottoway. While there, she completed her education specialist degree also from Maryville. She made the move to administration primarily to bring a teacher's experience and perspective into the system. She believed that merging the two experiences would be the best way to see it happen. In 1986, Ina Claire became one of the first female superintendents in Missouri when she took the position at North Nottoway Schools. It was a challenging position, as it was during a time of decreasing finances and she had to end several successful programs and make cuts to staff. After she received a special appointment as an adjunct instructor at Northwest Missouri State University in 1992, she primarily worked with leadership and multicultural classes. In 1994, she received her doctorate from the University of Kansas. Ina Claire then began working with the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, where she served as a facilitator with the Northwest Regional Leadership Academy. The focus there was on professional development for administrators and teacher leaders. In 2002, she officially retired from Northwest Missouri State University, but she continued to provide instruction and do consulting part-time with the Northwest Missouri State University Outreach in southern Iowa to support and encourage administrators to meet Iowa certification requirements. She really retired in 2007. Since then, Ina Claire has spent time enjoying her family, traveling, gardening, and volunteering at the local ministry center. Ina Claire and Basil have 2 children, Basil Jr. and Denise. They also have 3 grandchildren and 3 great-grandchildren. Ina Claire's philosophy is that if you want kids to learn, you have to make their education enjoyable. For students to enjoy school, they have to be surrounded by adults, teachers, staff, and administrators who enjoy their job. Her mission was to provide a type of environment that would appreciate and respect the job that teachers and staff do. She is a pioneer.
Our next pioneer is John Martin. Please roll the video.
John Martin said, "Education is a service. We serve society through its progeny." As a teacher, assistant principal, director of personnel, superintendent, state board member, volunteer, husband, and father, Dr. John Martin has served many facets of society. John was born in St. Joseph in 1943, the third of 4 sons of Charles and Helene Martin. When he was a baby, the family moved to St. Louis. He began kindergarten at the age of 4 and a half. During and immediately following World War II, children started school earlier so that parents would be free to work. After graduating from 8th grade in 1957, John attended Sumner High School in St. Louis. While at Sumner, he had some incredible teachers, black men and women who had prepared for other professional careers and were at Sumner because they were denied the opportunity to practice their professions because of their race. He graduated in January 1961. John then began attending Harris Teachers College. Due to financial and other concerns, he was in and out of school for the next 7.5 years. While attending college in 1963, he got a full-time job with McDonnell Aircraft Company. In June of 1965, he married his wife Mary, and in 1966, they moved to University City. In 1968, he received his Bachelor of Arts in Education. Immediately after graduation, John began teaching at Ashland Elementary in St. Louis. He taught social studies as well as math and PE. John says these were good years that cemented his interest in education. In 1973, he began teaching 9th grade math at Hanley Junior High School in University City. When the new middle school at Brittany Woods opened, John transferred and taught 5th grade math with the Decker, Donzelot, Greenwood, and Martin team. They became the group most often requested by parents for their children. In 1977, he was promoted to assistant principal. That same year, he earned his master's degree from Washington University. He remained at Brittany Woods for another 3 years as the annex assistant principal. In 1980, John became the first black principal of Flynn Park Elementary School in University City. Flynn Park was a high-performing school with great support from the community. In 1985, he was given the additional role of Executive Director of Personnel, and then he was promoted to Assistant Superintendent of Personnel. In 1990, he and his family moved to Virginia, where John served as Assistant Superintendent for Personnel and then Assistant Superintendent for Non-Instructional Services in Montgomery County. He attended Virginia Tech, where he earned a Certificate of Advanced Graduate Studies in 1994 and a Doctorate of Education in 1996. In 1997, John and his family moved back to Missouri, and he became the superintendent of the Grandview C4 School District. While John was at Grandview, the district was recognized twice for distinction in performance, which made them the first predominantly African American district to receive that honor. After 10 years at Grandview, John retired, but that didn't last long. 2 weeks later, then Commissioner Kent King contacted John and asked him to serve as Deputy Superintendent of St. Louis Public Schools. 18 months later, he left St. Louis when he received another request from Dr. King to serve as Superintendent of the Kansas City Public Schools. That assignment lasted 10 months, and John finally got to retire in October of 2008. In January of 2014, Governor Jay Nixon appointed Dr. Martin to the State Board of Education. During his tenure on the state board, issues such as Kansas City and St. Louis accreditation, Missouri Learning Standards and House Bill 1490, the retirement and hiring of a new commissioner, updates to educator preparation and ESSA were tackled. Though his original term was to be 6 months, Dr. Martin served on the state board until August of 2017. John and his wife Mary have 2 daughters, Angela and Kimberly. They have 4 grandchildren, Chase, Nia, Noah, and Xavier. With the exception of serving on the state board, John has remained retired since 2008, and he and his wife enjoy traveling and relaxing. Dr. Martin made this statement while serving as the president of the Conference on Education in 1987. "I have faith in the common sense of the common man. As individuals, we often don't have the answers, but if we work collectively, we usually come up with something." During his career, John has come up with many answers. He is a pioneer.
Our next pioneer is Carol Ryman. Please roll the video.
Name the last 4 Miss Americas. Name the last 5 World Series winners. Can't? Now, name your first grade teacher. Carol Ryman says that when she asked this last question, that most people start to smile. Even though most can't name celebrities a few months after they win awards, they can remember the name of a person who taught them when they were 6 years old, because that person cared. Carol French was born in Cairo, Illinois, but spent her entire life in Cape Girardeau. Her father was a salesman and her mother a registered nurse. Carol's third-grade teacher, Margaret Reed, is one of the reasons Carol became a teacher. Ms. Reed let Carol play teacher in class and told her students that they could be anything that they wanted to be if they planned for it. Carol attended Cape Central High School and graduated in 1964. She then attended Southeast Missouri State College. She and her husband Paul were married in 1967, and she obtained a Bachelor of Science in Elementary Education in 1968. Carol began teaching first grade at May Green Elementary in Cape Girardeau that same year. Carol says that teaching is a very gratifying profession because she was entrusted with an extremely priceless cargo, her students and their young minds. Carol received her master's in elementary education from Southeast Missouri State University in 1972. After teaching for 13 years at May Green, Carol moved to the Clippard Elementary School. It was there in 1997 that she became Missouri's Teacher of the Year. Carol said that she felt it was her responsibility to make learning come alive in a positive, creative manner. It's her manner and her clothing that earned her the nickname Sparkles. Carol could always be found wearing a bright and shiny outfit. She says she used her love of sequins and glitter to wear fun outfits that her first grade students were excited to come to school each day to see. Carol said that she remembers one day when she wore an outfit that didn't have her trademark shine and sparkle. A boy in her class told her, "It's not you." She never wore that outfit again. Being Teacher of the Year opened many doors for Carol, including speaking to the Missouri legislature on behalf of Missouri teachers, going to space camp, where she sewed sequins onto her spacesuit, and meeting President Bill Clinton. Her Teacher of the Year journey continued to this past year when she received news that one of her former first grade students, Beth Davey, who now teaches in St. Louis, had become the 2017-2018 Teacher of the Year. This was the first time a Teacher of the Year had been taught by a former Teacher of the Year. Other teachers helped Carol along the way. Eileen Klaproth, who taught with Carol during her first years at May Green, taught her skills that could only be learned through experience. Carol says if it hadn't been for Eileen, she would have quit. But later, it was Carol's positive attitude, along with her family's support and her faith, that helped her to survive 3 battles with cancer. She then began helping other women through a Reach to Recovery program. In 1999, Carol became a STAR teacher, which stands for Select Teachers as Regional Resources, a DESE program that provided professional classroom-tested training to teach teachers how to help students meet the state's academic performance standards. After completing 2 years with the STAR program, Carol began working at the Southeast Regional Professional Development Center. She stayed there for the next 17 years, working as an assistant director and a consultant. She just retired this year after spending 50 years in education. Carol and her husband Paul have 2 children, Stephen and Crystal, and 6 grandchildren. Carol is involved with Alpha Delta Kappa and Delta Kappa Gamma, which are honorary teachers' sororities. She also serves on the Cape Girardeau Public Library Friends of the Library Board. Carol said, "I'm a very positive person. I think that kids get enough negative in the world. In my classroom, we clapped for somebody who did a good job. They want attention and they want love, so that's what I intended to do. Just be positive." She is a pioneer.
Our next pioneer is Laurel Rosenthal. Please roll the video.
I love what I do. I'm still excited the moment I enter the school. I'm so lucky because I consider being an educator my profession as well as my hobby. Laurel Rosenthal is lucky because most hobbies don't endure for 5 decades. Laurel Browse was born in Topeka, Kansas, and then her family moved to Kansas City when she was a baby. The daughter of a businessman and a homemaker, she was passionate about schoolwork from the word go. She says she wanted to be a teacher since kindergarten, when she was picked to be in charge of passing out the pencils. That did it, she said, and she was hooked ever since. Laurel attended Southwest High School in Kansas City. She met Malcolm Rosenthal at the University of Missouri, and in July of 1956, they were married. She then went back to the University of Missouri, where she earned her degree in education in 1966. She started teaching kindergarten in 1967 at Mark Twain School, where she taught 2 sessions a day. She had 36 students in the morning and 38 in the afternoon. Her youngest son, Brian, was in the first class she taught at Mark Twain. She kept her job as kindergarten teacher for 21 years and says she loved every year that she taught. In 1986, she received her master's degree in science in elementary education and elementary administration, and in 1989, she received her specialist degree in elementary education. Every principal she worked for told her that she should be a principal, and in 1988, that's what she did. Incidentally, Laurel's late husband also attended Mark Twain as a child. He used to say, "I never would have thought that I'd one day be married to the principal of my grade school." Many teachers who worked at Mark Twain while Laurel was principal were also once students at Mark Twain themselves. Laurel always welcomed new students and teachers to the Mark Twain family. All she asked of the teachers was that they treat their students the way they would want their own family to be treated. Laurel was offered the opportunity to be a principal at a newer, larger school, but she chose to stay at Mark Twain. During her tenure, the school received a $10,000 grant to become a Missouri Accelerated School and was the first elementary school in the state to become a No Excuses school. No Excuses is a program that stresses college and career readiness among students from a young age. Among Laurel's many awards and recognitions are the Judge Clay Cowgill Blair Award for Outstanding Teacher in 1983, the Outstanding Principal of Southwest Missouri Award in 2000. She has served as the president of the Women's International Society and was named Carthage Citizen of the Year in 2009. She served as Grand Marshal during the Carthage Maple Leaf Parade. Laurel and Malcolm have 2 sons, Scott and Brian, 2 daughters-in-law, Mary Pat and Susie, and 5 grandchildren, Austin, Andrew, Molly, Grant, and Marley. Laurel's husband Malcolm passed away in 2013 after 57 years of marriage. Mike Pound of the Joplin Globe once said that his wife, who had attended Mark Twain as a child, always told him that when they bought a house, it had to be in the Mark Twain School District because of Mrs. Rosenthal. On their daughter's first day of kindergarten, Mrs. Rosenthal called Mike and his wife and told them that their daughter, who had been crying that morning, was now fine. Mike was never sure that Laurel knew how much that phone call had meant to them. Laurel has meant a lot to several generations of children at Mark Twain. She is a pioneer.
I don't know about you all, but what an amazing event. I always appreciate this very much. Let's give them another round of applause.